guys, welcome back to my stream. So today I'm really excited to talk to you guys about um, credit scores actually. So it's one thing that I wish I knew when I was starting school. So I really wanted to be the one that would tell you guys about these things because we're all just trying to live our best lives, and I wish I can help you guys to live your best life, whether it's from helping you with knowledge or whether it's from cheering you up on the streams. So I'm not gonna delay too much longer because I just want to jump right into it. So if ever at any point you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you guys have any recommendations, you can also for topics or anything in general, feel free to drop that in the comments as well. Yeah, I make the episodes as I go. So if you guys have a recommendation, I'll try to put that first, depending on how much research I can get in before the next episode. But yeah, so without further ado, I'll go into talking about credit scores. So I'm gonna be talking mostly about Canadian credit scores because I'm from Canada and I live in Canada. But Canada's and the US systems for credit score isn't too different. So whatever I say here, hi, I'm too lonely. Welcome back to my stream. So I'm doing a new segment on my stream called Things That They Don't Teach You in School. So today I'm gonna be talking about credit scores, and so the from in Canada, there's credit bureaus, which are credit reporting agencies that collect information about how you deal with money. And so I'm gonna be talking about the FICO credit score, which is used in the U.S. and Canada. Please, I have no idea about it. Okay, for sure. It might be a little bit different depending on the region that you live in, but the concepts are mainly the same. There's small differences that may be different from region to region. So yeah, so for example here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Yeah, you can. So the range typically is from 300 to 850. Sometimes this higher number can change. Sometimes the range can be like 900 if it's for a different industry, but mainly it's usually about the same thing. So from 300 to 560, usually you're in the really bad range, so you want to improve on that. 500 to 650 is bad. 650 to 700 is fair. 7 to 750 is good. And anything above 750 is really excellent. So I'm going to be talking to you guys about what kind of factors goes into this, and I'll also give you some tips to improve your credit score if you feel like you need to improve it. And so, one thing that I want to add is the reason why it's good to have a good credit score is, let's say you want to get a big loan like a mortgage, for example. If you have a good credit score, you'd be less likely to get turned down. And if you have a better credit score, you can get a lower interest rate on something like a mortgage plan or a car interest loan. So it's gonna help you in the long run, trust me. So I'm going to be talking about what really affects your credit score. So it's split into 5 different factors. It might be slightly different if you're in a different region, but for Canada and US, this is mainly what the split is. So the biggest part for 35% is your loan repayment history. So this is basically how well in the past you repaid your credit. So this is just like on a daily basis, how well do you, or on a monthly basis, I would say, how well you pay your credit. And then 30% is how much of your credit you actually use. So I'm gonna talk about each factors in more detail after. 15% is the length of your credit history. So if you had a longer credit history, then they know they can trust you because they've seen your behavior for a longer period of time. And then new credit accounts, this is when you want to make a new application. I know the title is not really like clear. And then 10% for credit mix. So I'm going to talk to you guys about each factor individually, and I'll tell you what it is, and I'll also give you some tips that you can do to improve it. And so your loan repayment history. So this is the biggest one, and this is for 35%. So this is something that you should mostly focus on because it's the biggest part. And so this is basically just how well you pay your previously borrowed amount. And this can include like so many things like credit cards, any line of credit, auto loans, student loans, mortgage, like any loan that you have. Yeah, basically any loans that you have. And so what you can do as a recommendation to improve on this criteria, if you feel like you want to improve your credit score, is always pay your bills on time. And even if you can't make the full payment, let's say you're struggling, at least always make the minimum payment. It's so important to at least make the minimum payment if you can't pay it in full. Obviously, if you can pay it in full, it's so much better for you and for your credit score. But you know, if times are rough, at least please just pay the minimum payment. And another big thing too is get rid of any existing debt. So if you guys have any big debt and you want to look at videos on how to get rid of that, there's actually someone on YouTube called Dave Ramsey who's very good with talking about debt. And so there's two methods actually. You can tackle one with the highest interest rate because financially wise and with mathematically wise, that will save you the most amount of money on the long term. Or you can also start with the smallest debt. So this is kind of like, I think he refers this as the avalanche method. So basically when you tackle a small debt and you are able to get rid of that small debt, it actually gives you momentum and gives you the confidence to tackle your bigger debt. So that's just two different ways of going about it. But in any case, it's you know, there's not one way that's really better or the other. It kind of depends on the person. So yeah, if you have any debt, it's better to just get rid of that now so you can improve your credit history in the long run. And so the next thing is the total amount owed. So the title might not be really self-explanatory, but really it just assesses your current debt to credit ratio. And what this really means is it looks at how much you owe and how easy it is for you to pay what you currently owe. So basically, this is how much money you borrow compared to your limit. So I'll give a numerical example because maybe it might be easier that way. If you have a credit limit of $1,000, but you only borrow $100 each month, you're only using 10%. So that's actually really good because they see that you only borrow a small amount and you're not going over your credit limit. So what is recommended is you want to pay 20 to 35% of your credit limit. You want to use only 20 to 35% of your credit limit. So this way, there's two ways that you can actually get around this. You can increase your credit limit so that you use a lower amount, or you can pay your balances before the end of the statement. Is 30% a lot? Actually 30% can be a lot, but 30% is not too bad. And the document, the document that I was reading is the official document from the Canada's website, and they recommended 35%, but a lot of videos I've seen on YouTube kind of recommend to be below 20%. So I kind of try to be in that range. But the thing with this is they only look at your balance at the end of your statement. So if you use more than 30%, you can pay it before the end of the month, and they're not even gonna consider that. So let's say you actually use the full $1,000, but you pay $900 in the beginning of the month, then at the end of the statement they only see that you owe $100. And yeah, it's like actually a pretty interesting way to get around it. I usually try to pay my credit card every 2 weeks just because that's when I get my pay. It's like a bi-weekly pay, and so I try not to let it go too high. But yeah, that's just one little quick tip. But yeah, I think 35% or below should be fine, so 30% should be fine also for you. Just gonna drink a bit of water before I talk about this. And so the next part is the length of credit history. So this is the average age of your revolving and non-revolving accounts. And Those two terms might be a bit new to you guys. It is new for me, but so it's actually very simple. So revolving just means whatever balance you carry at the end of the month will carry over to the next month. And non-revolving just means at the end of the month you have to pay everything in full for that month. So I currently don't have any credit cards that's non-revolving, but I think some stores do something like that, but I'm not completely sure. I just know that they specified the difference between the two, so I just wanted to bring that term out in case you've never seen it before. And so there's actually three different things that they take into consideration. It's how long your accounts have been open, and then how long specific account types have been open, and then how long it's been since those accounts has been used. So it's not just having the accounts open, you actually need to be using it also. This is something that I actually didn't know. I thought it just has to be the age of your account. So this is something that I need to work on actually. And so two big recommendations for for this portion of improving your credit card score. So first, try not to close credit card accounts and avoid opening new credit. So if you close an old account, you're gonna reduce your average age because they can take into consideration your average age, right? So if you close your credit card account that's 10 years old, now you don't have that 10-year-old like age slash history to back you up. And the goal is to have an average credit age of 5 years or more. So that's why they say typically sometimes for younger people it's hard for someone to have a great credit score. Also, when you have something that's 5 years, banks can see the trend of your behavior over a longer period of time, so it just gives them more confidence in lending you money. And so the last piece, oh no, actually the second to last piece, I think, is new accounts and applications. So this is how much new inquiries and frequency of their inquiries, and this only takes into consideration 10% of your total credit score. So basically there's two things you want to take into consideration. There's a hard inquiry and there's a soft inquiry. So a hard inquiry is something when you apply for a new credit or loan, and this actually gives a big impact on your score because you are showing the bank or the lender that you are in need of financial aid essentially. And actually not all inquiries are equal for everybody. So basically those with a limited credit history and late payments, they actually have a bigger impact whenever they perform a hard inquiry. So you want to be careful with that. That's why it's really important to really pay your credit bills on time, and it's good to have a longer credit history so you can be better on this side too. And on the other side, there is something called a soft inquiry, which is checking your credit score. Not all places where you check your credit score is a soft inquiry. So before you check your credit score, make sure it is a soft inquiry, and this way it has barely any impact on your credit score because you have the right to know your credit score. I think in the US you can get a report once a year, but I'm not sure in Canada if they have a specific amount of time. I think I don't think they specified a specific amount of time for Canada, but in the US you're allowed to have one credit report per year. And if you see something wrong, you can also talk to them and correct it. And so my two recommendations for this segment is avoid lots of hard inquiries in a short period of time, because this really shows that you're in financial distress. So if they see that you're trying to get 5 different loans within 1 month, it's gonna signal to the lender that you're really in need of money, and so they might see that as a red flag and they might be really cautious with you. So try to avoid that. And on the other hand, that's it's said that you should only apply for credit when you really need it. So if they see that you're asking for a lot, and then you should only save these situations for when you really need it. So you don't want to give the wrong impression, you know? You don't want to make it look like you're in financial distress if you're not. And so this is actually the last part, the last factor for improving your credit score. And it makes up 10%, and it's actually having a diverse mix of credits. So this could be credit cards, lines of credit, mortgage, and even personal loans. So basically this is just like having a greater diversity. And the more why they want to do this is because the more data they have about you, the better. So they can see your behavior. And actually, I don't have a big variety myself, but what I try to do is I try to make lots of small payments on existing credits, and just focusing on making lots of payments and being consistent with the credit that you already have is pretty good, because even though you don't have a diverse mix, they see that you have a good behavior and towards your credit with the one account that you do have. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this segment on credit scores. It's not something that I learned in school, but it's something that I wish I knew in school. I really had to look for this information myself, and I really wanted to show you guys because at first when I thought about this topic, I thought it would be very intimidating, but it's actually a lot more simple than I thought. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll also be putting the video up on YouTube if you missed anything, so you can head over and see that. And yeah, let me know what topic you want to see next. I was thinking about doing something related to investing. Maybe I will talk about different investing accounts for so if you want to learn about finances, I can talk about that. And I just finished a book called The 5 Love Languages. I can also talk about that. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm lonely, nice, I learned things. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciated you watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, thank you.